What if a simple promise from a foreign widow became the key that unlocked the most important lineage in history? Our story begins in the familiar place of Bethlehem. But instead of Christmas, this is a time of famine and death. And instead of peace on earth, it's a time of terror and despair. Our main character is a woman named Naomi, which means pleasant. But as our story begins, nothing is pleasant for her. She's just lost her husband, Elimelech, and their 2 sons, Mahlon and Chilion, all within a span of 10 years. They died in the foreign country of Moab, where they'd gone to escape the famine, only to find, as so many have since found, that famine and death don't discriminate between countries or continents. Now she's left with nothing but the clothes on her back and the 2 Moabite women that are now her daughters-in-law. With no husband living among them, these 3 women are outcasts without a single shred of security in a patriarchal society. Naomi is heartbroken, bitter, and exhausted. As she prepares to return home to Bethlehem, she tells her daughters-in-law to stay behind in Moab. She knows that they'll never have a better chance at finding a husband there than they would back in Bethlehem. She urges them to leave her, saying, "Go, return to your people and to your gods. I am too old to have a husband. Even if I said I had hoped to find rest in my husband, even tonight I must lie alone." Orpah kisses her mother-in-law goodbye and heads back to her people, but Ruth refuses to leave. She clings to Naomi and vows to stay by her side, saying, "Don't urge me to leave you or to turn back from following you. Where you go I will go, and where you stay I will stay. Your people will be my people and your God my God." Wow! That is an astonishing vow of loyalty. And Naomi has to admit that Ruth is a good woman, but she also knows that Ruth is about to leave everything she's ever known behind. She's leaving her homeland, her people, her culture, her language, her gods, her family, her friends, everything. She's leaving it all behind for a woman she barely knows in a country that's a world away. It's a desperate gamble, but thankfully, God is in the business of turning desperate gambles into stunning victories. When they arrive back in Bethlehem, Naomi and Ruth have nothing. And so Naomi tells Ruth to go out into the fields and gather whatever grain the workers leave behind. After gleaning, they're able to eat and so they don't starve. But Naomi knows that this is only a temporary solution. Their situation is still desperate. One day, Ruth ends up in a field that belongs to a man named Boaz. Boaz is a relative of Naomi's late husband, Elimelech. And he's already heard the amazing story of Ruth's loyalty. So when his workers are done harvesting, he tells them to leave plenty of grain for her to gather. And because of his workers' obedience, Ruth is able to fill her basket until it's almost too full to carry. Back in town, Naomi realizes that God is working in this situation. She sees that he has given Ruth favor in the eyes of this wealthy landowner, and she knows what she has to do. So she tells Ruth to take some of the grain that she has gathered and make a special bread with it. Then she's going to take that bread to Boaz and make a special request of him. Naomi instructs Ruth to go to the threshing floor near the edge of the town where Boaz is going to be. When he's there, she has to uncover her feet and legs and pour the grain that she has made into his lap. Then she's to wait for his response. And Ruth must have been absolutely terrified to do this. Not only is she a poor, humble foreigner, but doing this unveiled before a rich, powerful Israelite man would normally be considered brazen prostitution. But Ruth courageously follows Naomi's instructions. She goes to Boaz and he's completely taken aback by her beauty and virtue. He calls her a blessing and asks why she's uncovered her feet and legs. And Ruth modestly replies, "I am your servant. Uncover your skirt, please, my mistress, for you are a close relative." Now, Boaz could easily have sent her away at this point, but instead he gets up, takes off his garment, and actually covers her with it. He then asks her for a kiss, which she refuses until she can first ask him for a great favor. She says, "Show me what kindness you will show my late husband, Elimelech, for he was one of your relatives. For you are a close relative of our family." And Boaz wholeheartedly agrees to do whatever he can to help restore Naomi and Ruth's lives. So he works quickly to legally secure the right to redeem Naomi's family name and land from the one who was about to inherit it, even though that person was a closer relative of theirs. And after he did that, he married Ruth. He loved her, cared for her, and gave her a secure future. And not long after, she gave him a son named Obed. This story that began with empty sorrow ends with overflowing joy. Ruth, the once destitute foreigner who clung to a lonely widow in despair, now has a loving husband, a son, a home, a community, and a God. Naomi, who once lay alone in a desolate wasteland, now has a daughter, a son-in-law, and a grandson. She went from being surrounded by death to being surrounded by life. And the women of the town celebrated her by saying, "Blessed be the Lord, who has not left you this day without a redeemer. May his name be famous in Israel. And may you live, you and your daughter-in-law, who is better to you than 7 sons." You see, Naomi's arms that once cradled loss now cradle a grandson who will restore her life. But the story doesn't end with them. Obed becomes the father of Jesse, and Jesse becomes the father of a little shepherd boy who would become King David. And David's line would eventually lead to Jesus Christ himself. And so, amazingly, Ruth, the Moabite outsider who had absolutely nothing, becomes a cherished ancestor of Jesus Christ, the promised Messiah. And none of that would have happened if she hadn't sacrificially left everything to follow the God of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. Friends, Ruth's story proves that no one is an outsider in God's family. And it also proves that a single act of faithful love can alter the course of history forever. Hey, if you enjoyed this retelling of the classic Bible story of Ruth, then be sure to check out my channel where you can watch the entire series, The Great Love Stories of the Bible. There are a ton of other awesome videos there as well. So again, be sure to check out my channel. Also, I want to thank you so much for watching this video. If you enjoyed it, please hit the like button below. It really helps me out. Also, let me know your thoughts and comments about the story of Ruth in the comments section below. Again, thanks so much for watching. Until next time, remember, you are fearfully and wonderfully made in the image of God. And I hope you never forget that. God bless.
Fountain pen # Faith Tales, where Bible stories come to life. Bell subscribe for more timeless truth, told like never before.